Hello everybody and welcome back to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussion series where we are currently talking about Zoodiac and all of its different deck variants. In today's episode we are going to be talking about Tribrigade Zoodiac with the Barrier statue as your spice of choice. Now I like this version better than the one that plays Apex Avian for a specific reason that I'll get into when I talk about the extra deck, but I feel like having a way to lock your opponent out of basically playing turn 1 is extremely strong, and while it might not be as consistent at doing what it needs to do as maybe like a pure Tribrigade Zoo deck, it's strong enough to want to play this variant. So let's go ahead and jump into the main deck here. We have 3 Nibiru. This is a very flexible hand trap. A lot of meta decks are playing this. It functions as a board wipe and is just all around a really good card. Then we have Tribrigade Fractar. This card reads, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard as cost, then send one level 3 or lower Beast Warrior, Wing Beast, or Beast Monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, while this card is on the field, you can banish any number of Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monsters in your graveyard, and then special summon one Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast Link monster from your extra deck with Link rating equal to the number of banished. Also, you can only use Beast, Beast Warrior, and Wing Beast monsters as Link material for the rest of this turn. So this acts as a Foolish Burial for your other Tribrigade cards, and then once we get to those cards, I'll kind of explain the interactions a little bit more. Now, all the other Tribrigade cards have the same unfield effect, where they can banish any number of Beast, Beast Warrior, Wing Beast monsters, to special summon one from your extra, so I'm going to omit that from the text when I talk about the other cards. Now for the standard Zoodiac lineup, we have 3 Thoroughblade, 3 Whiptail, 3 Ram, and 1 Rapier. I feel like when a deck can do what it needs to do turn after turn after turn, which is kind of what pure Zoo does, and just like making and recycling Trident, it's consistent enough to hang with the meta, and that's why I feel like playing the full Zoo lineup in the main deck is imperative, because it needs to have that level of consistency to be able to play and contend with other meta decks. So we have the 1 Wind Barrier statue, which you summon this card 99.9% of the time off of Smorg Bird of Sovereignty, which summons a Wing Beast from your hand or deck on the end phase of the turn. On the end phase. It's actually just not the turn it's summoned. It's on both players' end phase. So if you were playing the Apex version, you could actually just keep summoning Apex Avian if you wanted to, which is pretty interesting. And one of the only merits to that version of the deck. So, continuing on here, we play 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, and then we play 2 Ceres and 2 Navel. Now, Ceres' effect reads, you can discard one other Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast monster, and special summon this card from your hand. Now, this is imperative to remember. You want to special summon this card from your hand if you can, so you can normal summon the Zoo monster and go into Trident. While making that play does leave you susceptible to Nibiru, you will be doing your quote-unquote full combo this way, where you're going to be going into Smorg and then on the end phase summoning your Barrier statue. So this card is basically like the thing that makes your full Zoo board if you can end with a Trident. Then Navel, when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Tribrigade monster from your deck to your hand. So basically you send Navel off of Fractar, Navel searches Ceres, and then when Ceres is on the field, you can banish these 2 for any of your Link 2 Wing Beast, Beast, or Beast Warrior monsters, which will be your Gladiator Beast monster, your Baron Blossom, and then your double Dragon Lords, and then we'll talk about their effects as we go through the extra deck. So that is why you play these. The ratio 2-2 is fair. You really don't want to see this card in your hand. It's good when paired with this because you can special summon this by sending this triggers its effect in graveyard to get a search, and then you're kind of able to recycle that play later on in the duel. Coming up on the spells and traps, we have 3 Pot of Desires for consistency. We have 2 Pot of Avarice, which is kind of a good card to play if you're not really familiar with this deck. I say that because you'll probably be burning through your extra deck resources a lot quicker than somebody would if they know how to play the deck. I know I'm not super familiar with the Tribrigade cards themselves. I know they seem extremely simple, but kind of balancing them with what you want to do with your Zoo cards, I don't want to say is difficult, but if you've been playing pure Zoo for a very long time, you know, throwing like another engine in there that leaves you susceptible to Nibiru and other hand traps is a little jarring. So this lets you just recycle your extra deck. It lets you be a little bit more costly or a little bit more frivolous with throwing your extra deck monsters on the field and not really having to worry too much about what happens to them. It's just overall a very good card to play. Then we have Monster Reborn. I've considered playing cards like Living Fossil and Shuffle Reborn as well for additional extending in the deck. Monster Reborn being the best revival spell out of those three. This just lets you play through Nibiru. Living Fossil will do the same because it just kind of lets you stick a Dryden on board. Really, overall, not that terrible. Then 3 Book of Moon. It's an offensive hand trap, like I said in the last couple of videos. It baits negates, it puts the Buster Lock kind of back in the closet where it belongs, and it's overall just really, really powerful. Then we play Zoodiac Barrage. The card is a special summon of any zoo monster in your deck. I don't know why you would play this at anything less than 1. Then you have 3 Tenki because it searches all of your Beast Warrior monsters, so any of your zoo cards, and also Fractar, so basically it'll just search you the missing piece of your combo. And lastly here we have Infinite Impermanence, just a standard hand trap. Most meta decks play this card at 3, very, very strong. Now into the extra deck we have the standard Zoodiac package. I kind of throw Zeus in here with the package. You have 2 Zeus, 2 Tiger Mortar, 1 copy of Hammer Kong, 2 copies of Chalkanine, 1 copy of Dryden, and 1 copy of Borbo. This is very, very standard. You see this in most zoo variants, whether it's Dogmatika or Eldlich. It's just enough for the deck to do what it needs to do past turn 1, while also being able to apply pressure to your opponent. So moving on into the Link monsters, we play the Tribrigade Link 4. This is Ominous Omen, and when this card is special summoned, or if another Beast Warrior or Winged Beast monster is special summoned to your field, you can banish 1 card on the field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Beast Warrior or Winged Beast monster from your deck to your hand whose level is less than or equal to the number of your banished Beast Warrior, and Winged Beast monsters. Then you can only use one of these effects once per turn, or each of these effects once per turn. So if this card's on the field and you have Zeus, you feel like Zeus is more important, you use Zeus's effect, send this, and this basically just gets like another add back to kind of do the same thing in the following turn. It's really, really strong because of its non-targeting effect. Where it banishes a card on the field. So if you're utilizing this card multiple times, you'll want to be cognizant of the fact that your opponent would have to chain to its effect activation, to be able to respond to it. If they don't, and then you select the card, they can't chain to it. So kind of having that transparency with your opponent, letting them know it doesn't target, is pretty valuable. Or just sitting there and letting them say no to it, and then forcing them to banish any card without being able to react to it. Kind of funny. Then we play Megaclops because Megaclops is a Towers-like card that's hard for a lot of decks to out. It's very imposing unless you recycle Dryden, standard card. Then we have Smorgasbord of Sovereignty. Now this monster takes 2+ monsters, including a Winged Beast monster. So let's talk about that first. If you have Fractar in your hand and you send it to the graveyard to send Navel, then Navel searches your Ceres. Ceres gets on the field, and then you banish Fractar and Navel from your deck, or from your graveyard, to summon either the Gladiator Beast monster, or your Baron Blossom, or your Double Dragon Lords, because these are your options when you're just banishing 2. Now, if you banish 2 and summon the Gladiator Beast monster, you now have a Winged Beast on the field, along with a Beast monster, fulfilling your summoning conditions for this card. So, if you're talking about card advantage, Fractar is a 1-card Smorg, which on the end phase summons out your Barrier Statue, which locks your opponent out of special summoning any monster aside from wind monsters. So, there's that line of play. You'll definitely do all that, in tandem with hopefully being able to make a Trident as well to kind of control your opponent from being able to run over the Barrier Statue there. So, super important. But one of the effects of this card I really want to touch on because it's often overlooked. And it's the part of the card that says you can special summon 1 Winged Beast monster from your hand or your deck with a level equal to or lower than the total number of unused spell and trap zones on the field. Now, this is why I think the version with the Barrier Statue is better than the Apex version, because Apex Avian is level 7 when the Barrier Statue is only level 4. So if you're going second, and your opponent has taken up a lot of spell and trap spaces, and you're using continuous spells like Tenki and Barrage, by the end of your combo, you may have, without really noticing it, filled up a lot of zones, and you are unable to use Smorg's effect to summon Apex Avian from your deck. Now that would really suck, but since the Barrier Statue is a level 4, oftentimes you will have plenty of free spaces to summon your Barrier Statue. Another part of Smorg's effect that makes it extremely strong is the fact that Your opponent cannot target this card or a winged beast monster that this card points to with card effects. This card can't be veilered or impermed, and then neither can your barrier statue because it's under the protection from Smorg as long as this is pointing to a link zone it points to. Neat little effect. It also prevents Trident from popping the cards, so if you have Trident and this lock on the field, it's really strong because they're going to have to spend a lot of resources just to get rid of the barrier statue so they can play. The one thing the Book of Moon doesn't do is out this lock, so if your opponent's playing Book of Moon and they're playing it strictly for the reason that it can stop like the barrier statue in the mirror match, not gonna work. Next here we have the Link 2s I was discussing. This is just a generic Link 2. Its effect really doesn't matter at all, so I'm not going to talk about it, but it's just your Winged Beast target to make Sovereignty here. Then we have Barren Blossom, and this is very important because if you've kind of been hand-trapped the hell and back, and you can make this card and you need it to get the Zoo out of your hand to summon Trident, that's kind of like the playline where you make this card. So during your main phase, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monster from your hand. Also, you cannot use monsters as link material for the rest of this turn except Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast monsters. So it gets the Zoo out of your hand if you're not going to be going for the lock or anything like that. It's really good. One thing, you can still do the lock if you have this and somehow got a Zoo on board, if you can normal summon or special summon this from your hand, because this is a Winged Beast, which fulfills the criteria for Sovereignty. So the secondary effect of Barren Blossom here is that if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can draw one card, then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck, and you can only use each of these effects once per turn. So this will let you get like hand traps you have multiple sub out of your hand, or maybe Zoo monsters that you have multiple sub out of your hand into the bottom of the deck, and potentially draw into like Book of Moon or another hand trap that you need. Hopefully you're not going to be drawing into the Wind Barrier statue with that, because that would kind of suck. The Barrier statue is just probably the best card in your deck to have still in your deck. And then lastly here in the extra deck, we play the Ancient Warrior's Oath Double Dragon Lords. This card is functionally a compulse. Basically, let's see here, you can quick effect, send one card from your hand or field to the graveyard. It's not for cost. Then target one face-up card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. So if you're doing Tribrigade stuff late game and you and your opponent are top decking, let's just say you're playing the Zoo Mirror match and your opponent, needs like a normal summon to kind of get going. This lets you kind of stall them even longer because then you can bounce their Zoo monster on someone. They have no access to their extra deck. It's, like I said, literally just a functional compulse. Really only applicable if you know what your opponent's playing. I never blind make this, just because I don't feel like it's good enough to do it. Usually I can do the combo with a Smorg and the Barrier statue, but later game, these two options here aren't terrible. So that's my thoughts on this build, kind of my explanation and reasoning as to why I like this better than the Apex build. I'll do another video over the Apex build, but honestly, nothing changes too much. The extra deck changes like a little bit, and the main deck might change some, but overall, you can really just replace the Wind Barrier statue with Apex and go on your way. It's really just kind of plug it in what card you like more. You could definitely utilize Apex Avian multiple times over just the Barrier statue, but the Barrier statue is a hard lock, while Apex is only a blanket negate. So they have positives and negatives to both of them. I just prefer the Barrier statue. So in closing here, I just want to thank you guys for the support. All of the videos so far have been extremely well received. Y'all have been killing it on the likes, killing it on the comments, killing it on the views. I really appreciate people letting me know in the last video that I made that the purpose of Link Karibo in the Zoodiac was to get rid of the Dino token. Very smart thinking. I don't know how that slipped my mind. It was just something I guess I didn't think of kind of at the moment, since I do this pretty podcast style where I just ramble pretty much. So it definitely wasn't something I was thinking of, but that's why he did play that Link Karibo. So very smart. You guys are great. Once again, just thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.